Okay, well, welcome to our session called From Metrics to Management, Practical Observability on EKS. So starting to a good start. My name is Dale Orders, and I'm here with Emil Lubinsky, who is going to be joining me today in presenting this session. So to start, you'll see on the screen here, we have the agenda for today's session. We're going to start by obviously introducing ourselves. We're then going to talk about what observability is. So just a very brief introduction to observability. We're going to then discuss how we can make our applications observable. We're then going to delve into two AWS services, Amazon Managed Service for Prometheus and Amazon Managed Grafana, before we conclude our presentation with a short demo. So that is today's agenda. As I said, my name is Dale Orders. I'm a software engineer at Five9, and I'm joined by Emil Lubinsky,
and I'm AWS
DevOps engineer, and we're both community builders, so we're very excited to be here today with you to discuss observability. As I said, we're going to first define exactly what we mean when we talk about observability. So, observability is about extracting actionable insights. So it's insights that you can generate to be able to assess and improve the performance, health, and behavior of your application. And that's a really important point there. We want to look at the performance, behavior, and the health of the application. Observability should be a continuous cycle. So with observability, it's not something you do one time and then you finish. It's something that you should be doing in a continuous iteration. As you see on the screen here, we start by detecting the specific metrics that we're looking for. We then have to investigate what those metrics mean. We have to remediate any issues that we find that we find through our investigations. And finally, we have to assess whether those remediations have been successful. So it's a continuous cycle that we have to do to ensure that observability is effective, is truly effective. So why is observability important? Well, there's many reasons, but for us, it enables us to be able to gain insight or visibility into the health of our application. It means that we are able to better troubleshoot any issues that arise. Importantly, it allows us to deliver a superior customer experience, and obviously that is something that is very important. We do build for the customer. And then finally, it helps us in being able to control our costs. And obviously that too is equally important. So when we say observability, what signals are we talking about? Well, we are talking about metrics. So we can think about metrics as being, do I have a problem? It also includes traces. So traces are, where is the problem? So do I have a problem? Where is the problem located? It also includes logs. So what is causing the problem? And finally, it includes profiles. So how is the code behaving? It gives you that insight into the specifics around your code base. So those are the four metrics or observability signals that we need to be aware of when we conduct observability, or when we design an observability system. How exactly does that relate to our application? So when we have metrics, we're thinking about, why is my application 25% slower than last week? So we have to be able to interpret that information and understand that that is referring to a metric in our application. Traces, what are the dependencies for this service? Again, looking at how one specific service relates to the performance of another service in our application. It also includes logs. So why won't my database start after this update? So there we are trying to troubleshoot an issue that has arisen with our application. and it includes profiles. So could there be a memory leak in my code? And together, all of these observability signals allow us to better track and achieve our SLO and SLA compliance targets. So it's not something we do simply for the sake of it. We do it because it has a broader purpose behind it. But then the question becomes, how do we make our applications observable? We know observability is important, but how do we actually introduce observability into our application? Well, one such way we can do that is by the use of a particular AWS service known as Amazon Managed Service for Prometheus. This is a fully managed serverless Prometheus-compatible monitoring service. So it is based on the Prometheus, which is an open source program, but it is developed by Amazon, so it provides high availability. It is multi-AZ by design, and it provides the ability for you to gain greater insight into the monitoring and the observable metrics that are being produced by your application. It uses Prometheus data model and querying language, PromMQ, which allows for seamless monitoring of your containerized workloads. And we will see that in the demo very shortly. What does that look like in terms of our architecture? So you'll see here on the screen, we have our application code, which we instrument with the Prometheus SDK. We expose the metrics to the Prometheus server, which is running on the Kubernetes cluster. We're going to be using open telemetry. So you can use either an OTel, an open telemetry, or an AWS distro for open telemetry collector to collect and to aggregate the metrics. And then you can use a remote write operation to send those metrics to Amazon Managed Service for Prometheus. If we look at that in a little bit more detail, we see that we have our collector. This collector is going to use both a receiver and an exporter to extract, to process, and to export the data. So in this case here, I am producing two pipelines. On the left-hand side here, I'm producing a traces pipeline, which is going to export the data to Amazon AWS X-Ray. And on the right-hand side, I have a metrics pipeline, which is going to export the data to Amazon Managed Service for Prometheus. So this is one such way that you could design your application to be more observable. But what are some of the best practices when it comes to using this specific service? So you should be using private link and IAM so that your metrics go securely from trusted sources. You can reduce your costs by increasing the scrape interval and also adjusting the relabel config filter to better suit the specific requirements of your application. You can use a retention period that is appropriate for the data that you're storing. If you're not going to be needing your data for long periods of time, then it's more appropriate to reduce that retention period. You can run more than one container to ensure high availability of your pipeline. And finally, you can use consistent identifiers to enable correlation of data, so you can better correlate data from one pipeline to the next. With that said, there is one other service that you can use, and I'm going to be passing it to Emil to tell you about that specific service. Here you are.
Thanks for the voice. So the next service, fully managed, is Amazon Managed Grafana. In the funny abbreviation AMG, I found out. So Grafana is actually this service you possibly already know. Some of you already were using Grafana. As I mentioned, AWS fully managed that for us. So it's widely used an open source analytics visualization platform So sooner we'll be showing how to create some visualization for that. And it is also used for alerting, creating metrics and traces, etc. It provides for us some interface, and that's it.
Okay. All right.
So AMG actually works on top of our current setup, already mentioned. So we've got our application. We are scrapping some data with OTel, ADOT, and AMP. Then we are moving it to AMG, and AMG, I mean Grafana. We are configured this way to show that to the user, show that to us. And as previously Dale mentioned, we can use here OTel ADOT to get those metrics. And we can do it in a few ways. We can push that to multiple services, to open search, CloudWatch logs. Sorry? Oh, okay, so. And also push to X-ray. But finally, we will focus on the way where we are pushing it through AMP, Prometheus, and then to Grafana. As for AMP, also for AMG, there are some best practices. Mostly we are doing it this way to make our dashboards useful, so clear, and to respond for questions, simple questions. So best practices also are behind, so you can see it. So one I'm really focused on is that when you are creating dashboards, make sure each one tells a clear story, so answers a specific question, so make it really specific and transparent. And now the demo. So we are going to visualize our web QuickSight cluster with some already provisioned resources and observability. On observability tab, we already see the Prometheus metrics sections, so we can here add the scrapper. Providing scrapper, we can also create a new workspace and put some other configuration, but mostly focus on the configuration, which is like a YAML file, which specifies the best practices that Dale mentioned. So scrape interval, what we'll have there, reliable configs, like label map for mapping some labels between agents. Also keep for filtering only those ones which we are really interested for. After created the scrapper, we can see that it's already visible also in AMP. In AMP, there is a scrapper visible. There's also workspace visible we created. Workspace is like our collection where we can write and query our data already collected. We can also set here the retention period, which is really important here just from the costs and management perspective. Now we can set up also the ingest our collection. There's really cool documentation on AWS side how to follow those steps. There are like 2 steps here. First is obviously to create IAM role, which allows us to communicate between the services. And the next step will be, okay, before we go to next step, we just have to verify the role. That after running all steps that it is already here, we can use it. And if this is already there, yeah, we see that the rights allowing us to play with this service are already there. And there will be another step with providing the agents. And once again, there is pretty extensive documentation available. So even if you are doing it for the first time, it will be easy for us to practice that and to set up quickly. Even for this purpose, we just use the default naming, so it will be quickly available that it is already there. in our EKS deployed. So as we mentioned, that the setup works that Prometheus agents has to be deployed on our cluster, on our app, let's say, to write our data, our logs to our AMP, AMP service, which will be showing that and scrapping that and pushing that to Grafana. Now we got finally the Grafana. Grafana is, as you can see, another really fully managed, really simple to be configured service in AWS. There's just a couple things to be configured here. We will focus on a data source, which will be AMP, Prometheus. And here, what we have to create is just a workspace. And after the creation, we see that it's already done. All the thing right now we have to focus is configure the Grafana itself, which is after that, after these couple steps, is already provisioned for us. So after login, the couple of things we have to do is obviously just to set the data source. As you can see, it's already previously done, but we can just click it by adding the new one. The only thing we have to focus here is the connection, obviously, because service is pretty clear before that. So after the deployment, we just have to point to our AMP, where we are getting the data from, and put the authentication done, which is usually by the default set to ZigV4 authorization, and it's using the AAM role for to provide sufficient rights. And the last step, possibly the final stage, is creating the visualizations on our dashboards. Before we can do that, let's just focus once again, only shortly for our deployments. On our deployments, we can see there are some labels like namespace, image selectors. So you can see that there is an app 2048. And on the very basic few visualizations, you can see this is already created. But let us go and edit to see, to play a little bit with those filters. So we can see the labels already visible previously already are here. Let's just clean it up a little bit. You can refresh, you can test your queries, see the differences now before without that filter. It looks like it is showing some historic data. Some previously we would like to filter out because it's making only a burden. And this way we can play more, we can add more custom and more specific labels for us. And the summary. So this way we can see that we can pretty easily create observability using only fully managed AWS services. Prometheus and Grafana, where they are fully managed by AWS, it's like with other Lambdas and other services, really not our problem, let's say, to manage them. And at this point, we can really focus on our observability. So on our SLO, SLA, SLI also, and that's it.
Mm-hmm. Great.
If you would like
Great. To. All right. And as Emil said, once we have achieved those metrics, we can ensure that our customer remains happy, which is ultimately the goal of observability, making sure that we can deliver on a quality product. So with that being said, we want to thank you for coming to today's talk. If you wish to connect with either of us, our LinkedIn's are on the screen here, the QR code. And if you have any other questions, you're welcome to stay and approach either of us. We're very happy to take any questions that you may have. Thank you.